Triple Trio with Hutchi, RS Dye and Terry Bailey and Faricho. It's Hong Kong racing with the blinkers on.
G'day folks, great to have your company for another edition of Triple Trio. The dynamic duo join me. It's Clint Hutchison, looking great and fresh and ready to rock and roll, Hutch.
Feeling very good, Terry. You've had a great week, of course, in Hong Kong, and plenty going on, plenty to discuss on the show, and lots of little highlights and a bit to look forward to as well, of course, with the Dubai World Cup meeting. But it's been a good week. We, pretty much finished flat for the week, but outside of the feature races, obviously Victor the winner was a nice performance last weekend, and then we had Sixth Generation during the week as well, managed to perform well. This was Victor the winner. Gee, what he's done is put up a very good time on a day where they were, in some races, they were running reasonably good times, but he's not far off being, I think, right up there with some of the better sprinters in Hong Kong, and this was Jamie Richards. As we bring Shane in, and Jamie keeps his run sort of going as well. And I know you thought that Sixth Generation had a good chance during the week. Welcome to the show, and it was a nice performance. And Jamie keeps the roll going.
Yeah, I thought the start before he was ridden a bit too aggressively, so I liked them on Wednesday night. Victor the winner, he's going higher. Danny Shim's worked the trick to that horse. It's keeping him a bit fresh. That track last Sunday wasn't the normal A track, was it, Clint? It was on pace, on fence, which isn't normally the case for an A track. And he keeps running time, that horse, Victor the winner.
Yeah, it was a track that was not the norm, as you mentioned, with the A course. And we'll discuss a little bit more of that when we go over the Derby and all that sort of stuff. But it was a track that definitely had a pattern, and a significant pattern at that.
Hutch, we've got plenty to get through. Got out of the gate, you've got your Sid file coming up. Always look forward to that. I love the slaughter by Shane, or the great ride of the day.
I'm sure we'll have one or two on the show, T-Berry. I can assure you of that.
I wish I could have my little slaughter file. I've seen a few this week. We've also got Inside Running. Nicole's going to have a chat to Eva, who's the wife, of course, of
Alexis Badel.
And so looking forward to that. Global Dubai World Cup coming up. Bit of excitement there. We see some of the best horses. We've got racing on the weekend, and we've got the place, best bets, and everything else coming up as well. But in the meantime, it's out of the gate. But the Derby didn't quite turn out the way we all thought.
No, it certainly didn't. It was a lot different to what many expected. Look, Alexis Badel's managed to win. Obviously, the short price favourite settled handy and seemed to have his chance. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment or two. But well done to Alexis Badel. I mean, this horse did win the Classic Mile well. Different tactics supplied on the day. They sat back, very, very sedately run race. And, well done to Alexis. Managed to post a win on a horse that was really not fancied by the market at all.
Well, the Derby not going the way the plaudits and the punters thought it would.
No, it was an outsider, or one of the outsiders of the field. Of course, Voyage Bubble had won the Classic Mile, and he basically led that day. And different tactics. Great ride from Alexi, and I'm sure Shane will touch on that in a little while. But look, a nice ball. It's well done to Ricky Yu. It was basically a pretty sedate sort of race in terms of tempo, and they've worked home pretty strongly. But Voyage Bubble, daring sort of ride, and got the spoils and a narrow victory, and a big upset, I think, with and disappointing performance for mine with the favourite Beauty Eternal. Like I said, we'll touch more on that a little later.
Queen Silver Jubilee, great race, 2 superstar horses.
Yes, Lucky Swainess. I mean, it was another race, Shane, where Lucky Swainess was just too good. That's the bottom line. He's obviously been a very talented horse who keeps stepping up. They didn't go quite as quick as I thought they might have, though.
Clint, what have I been saying all season about these races? Every race, every meeting I say it, the market gets it wrong. They got it wrong again. It's incredible. He's outstanding. You know, he's probably my favourite horse in Hong Kong, that horse. I love him. And he got a very good ride from J-Mac because he sat off the other horse. He didn't attack him or be outside of him. He let him roll the other horse, and he gave him a breather. When a horse is up outside another horse, they can work a bit hard. So J-Mac had him 2 lengths behind where he was more relaxed, and that's saving your energy. And then when he quickened, he went for him, and he was too good. I was actually surprised Zach rode the other one instead of Lucky Swears, because if it was my decision, I would have ridden Lucky Swears.
Vincent Ho celebrated a big day for him on that Sunday card.
Yeah, I think, look, Shane's been, praising Vincent for, I think, a lot of his rides over, the last 12 months in terms of how he's matured and how he's handling some of the pressure. And I think he's definitely stepped up. He's gone to that next sort of level. He's probably got a bit more improvement in him, Shane, but I think that association with Golden 60, handling pressure, listening to some of your advice in terms of some of his rides as well, he deserves to be where he is on the sort of championship level, and he's going to ride a lot more big races, I think.
Vincent understands about gambling in races, and he never used to. He used to ride Golden 60 to percentages, and when you ride horses to percentages, you can get beat on them in big races. He's definitely a far better jockey than what he was 2 or 3 years ago, and he's done so well. And his last 2 rides on Golden 60, he gambled on both of them, which he wouldn't have 12 months ago, and that was the difference between winning that race and losing it. Vincent is now not scared to lose a race, whereas before he was scared to lose a race. And he's turning into an outstanding jockey. But not only that, he's a fine gentleman too. You listen to him talk. He's a lovely guy, and he's fantastic for Hong Kong racing.
I think that's a great point you make, Shane, and I think that's around, particularly here in Australia and around the world, that some jockeys are scared to lose a race. The way to win a race is a Jimmy Cassidy or someone of that nature, or a Raymond Shane Dye, just to pump your tyres up yet again. Yeah, you're prepared to do something in a race. You're prepared to be proactive and not dictated to.
Ryan Moore, he's not scared to lose a race. I saw that last week, and we'll be showing that soon. That also in the Golden Slipper, I heard Chris Waller, here it is, say, you've got to get off the fence, gate 1 wasn't good because he needs room. That was a load of rubbish. The only reason he won 2 starts ago was because he was ridden back, not forward like he had been the 2 starts ago. Ryan stayed to the fence. He was never, ever, ever at any stage going to leave the fence, and it wouldn't have mattered what anyone says. He gambled on the fence, which most people thought was off, and it never was. And he won the race, and he had a big day. He had 2 rides, Clint, 2 wins. He's an outstanding jockey, Ryan, and he just rides them so well in a race.
Absolutely, and I'm tipping that. I know he talks to Shane quite a lot, and man, he's won 4 slippers. I'm sure that there was some wise calls passed on between the two of them. And Ryan, well, what can you say? I mean, he's gone there. I know Dubai was going to win easy, but we've seen a couple of weeks now where the top riders from around the world have come in and ridden very well and dominated really in Sydney.
Zach did it 2 weeks ago when he rode the Group 1 double. There was no pressure on him that day. And when there's no pressure on Zach in Group 1 races and they're not favourites and he wants to be up there, he's an outstanding jockey, just outstanding. And that showed 2 weeks ago. And Australia saw what he can do when there's no pressure on him in big races. He gives them a chance, and he won 2 Group 1 races on the day.
It was still can be pretty critical of the international riders in Australia, can't we, Clint?
Yeah, well, I think it's, look, there's a lot that come here and don't ride well. I think, and what I always liked about Hong Kong as well is you got to see really where they're at. And the reason for that, Terry, when they ride, they're not often, there's no pace makers in races. They're riding some, outside of the top class horses. There's some ordinary stock in classes 4 and 5. Tactics, barriers, Australian style of racing. So, some of the Northern Hemisphere riders come and adapted very quickly and were top notch, and some really didn't.
And I talked to a lot of the best jockeys around the world. They rate the Americans. Most jockeys, whether it be Europe or anywhere, rate the Americans the best jockeys. Yet in Australia, we don't give them a look in. And I talk to people and they just bag them like anything. But the good jockeys, the best jockeys in the world, rate the Americans as the best riders.
Why is that, Shane? Because their style is so different to our style in Australia. Why do they rate them so highly?
Because they get them to run. They're just intelligent, and they're balanced in what they can do on horses. And they're just a different breed, different style, and they think they're the best at getting horses to run and what they can do on them.
I was thrilled to see Luke Curry answer the SOS call for Lindsay Park, replace Craig Williams, of course, after that fall at Flemington. And he's just a beautiful rider, particularly at the Valley. He's always had a good record there.
I hope this gives Luke some impetus back in Hong Kong.
Mr. Brightside in front, and Mr. Brightside has won the mile from Cascadian.
Yeah, amazing. To come here and I haven't been in great form in Hong Kong, so to come here and win a big race like that's a great feeling.
What do you think that will do for you and help you with regards to going back to Hong Kong?
Look, obviously winners build your confidence, and every sports person needs to be confident. So that'll give my confidence a boost, and hopefully a few trainers might give me a couple of better rides.
Shane, I don't know if you've seen the race, but down the side, he was in a bit of a tricky spot. The race probably didn't pan out as expected, but at a key stage, he managed to angle off the fence. It'll go down as one of in Victoria anyway, in Australia, as one of the best rides of the season without question.
No, it was fantastic for him. But if he wasn't in Hong Kong, he may not have been on that horse. It's probably David pushing when they couldn't get the jock, saying to the sons, get Luke back there, he's going all right, he's not just getting the opportunities. So maybe Clint, from being in Hong Kong, that's how he got on that horse.
That could well have been, and well, you got to make the most of it, so it was fantastic to see Luke.
And I've got to say, Craig Williams prepped that horse beautifully for the stable because he never gave him any gutbusters leading in.
It was a Shane Dye-like preparation.
It was. He rode a terrible race on him last time. it was a terrible ride.
He went back
ready.
that day. He went back that day.
And the grand final, all different. Okay, let's now go for the sweet in defeat, Hutch.
They're off, and Sugar missed the start by 4 lengths. Then Dublin Star, Sugar Fast Buck, smart leader.
Oversubscribed, lunges at the post, missed. Sugar, that's a sweet win for Alfie Chan.
Sweet in defeat, Hutch. Which of the horses we should be looking at for the future, mate?
As mentioned by Shane earlier, there was a pattern at Chartin last weekend, and it was certainly a track that helped those closer to the front end and back on the whole day, clearly. But there's a couple of horses that I definitely want to follow going forward. And interestingly, throughout the week, all Greek to me as well, but all of them ridden by Vincent Ho, so he's got some future winners if he can stick with the rides. With regard to June Planet, we'll just take a look at. He doesn't have a lot of early gate speed, this guy, and you can see jumps on terms, but he's not really bustled. But I don't think it makes much difference. I was happy with sort of what he does, but you can see just a bit of a niggle here from Vincent, but he can't keep up early. I don't know if 1400 is definitely the option here, and possibly, I don't know, maybe even blinkers. But look, he got home really well. It was difficult to make ground, and his closing sectionals were excellent. So I think he's ready to win one, Shane. He looks like a horse that his Happy Valley debut was good. It was the same sort of run, not a lot of early speed. He just looks like he's probably got to go up, I think, a little bit in trip.
He's not there, that horse yet, Clint. If you watch his action, it's all over the place. He's got a lot of improvement in him. He definitely needs 1400 once he steps up. And, of course, he hadn't had a run for a little while, so he's a winner waiting to happen once he gets to 1400. And he's got that much improvement in him too.
Yeah, he does. Euro Rocks was the other one. It was a sort of a Kiwi import that ran well, was with Graham Rogers. I mean, all Greek to me, ran well in a decent rating race during the week. He didn't have any excuses. They went a bit quick in the race, and he just got collared late by Eason. But I think he's another horse that can bounce back and win soon.
Time now for Nicole Purton's Inside Running, and we're having a chat with Eva Crone, the wife, actress and model of Alexis Badel.
Eva, you and Alexi experienced the highs and lows of racing this week. At the beginning of the week, you found out that Alexi wouldn't be riding Wellington in the Queen's Silver Jubilee. How did you guys handle that?
First, of course, we were a little bit sad, but I guess it's part of jockey's life, part of racing. So you just need to move on and handle the situation as good as you can and move forward.
And fast forward to Sunday, Alexi came out and won the Hong Kong Derby on Voyage Bubble. Congratulations again. How was that experience and how was the whole day?
Well, it was the most amazing day, of course, because very unpredictable. And I was very proud of Alexi, especially after the season he had, the injuries and the suspensions. I think it was the best way to bounce back and to, I think the best day ever, especially to win a race like that, Hong Kong Derby. It's the most prestigious race in Hong Kong. So yeah, just amazing feeling, amazing day, and congrats to the connections.
Voyage Bubble, the classic mile winner from 14, and Tuchel on the rail. Voyage Bubble, Voyage Bubble. What a win in the Derby. Voyage Bubble has won a magnificent Derby finish for Alexis Badel.
You're very active and prominent on social media platforms like Instagram. How important do you think that is to your business or your business ambitions?
Well, I definitely think that Instagram nowadays is one of the most important platforms if you want to succeed in whatever business. It's actually your new resume. So I think it's very important if you want to show something about yourself to be on Instagram and to do everything to promote yourself or your business. I'm on Instagram for a couple of years already, and because I was an actress before having the kids, I use Instagram to show my work and my videos, my whatever, and yeah, it helped me a lot.
So in your opinion, do you think that horse racing uses social media effectively, or do you think they could improve?
I think they're going in the right direction for sure. But as everywhere, I think you can always improve. And I think that if you take the example of Drive to Survive on Netflix, for example, I think it could be a very good idea for racing to do something similar and to show the behind the scenes of the racing industry, about the jockeys, the trainers, the owners, the jockeys' wives' lifestyle. I mean, everything is, I think, important for the public to see and to be more concerned about the racing industry. And yeah, I totally think that we can do much more in this area.
Well, cheers to that. Cheers. Wish you all the best. Thank you for joining us on The Inside Running.
Social media is big everywhere around the world, Hutch, and in horse racing as well, my friend.
Yeah, definitely, and certainly a nice breath of fresh air there, as we've seen a nice little piece put together from Nicole Purton once again.
Okay, now for my favourite part of the week, it's Genius or Slaughter with RS.
They sweep for home now. Beander-Cross has come very wide. Beander-Cross answering the urgings of Shane Dye. Mannerism coming at him. Mannerism has got it.
Daring tactics by Shane Dye. He's got Octagonal in full flight on the corner. Bold tactics by Shane Dye are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
What would you do if you were on Beauty Eternal?
He rides him quiet. Can't get beat. He just
How far back?
Midfield. Doesn't matter. He knows the horses inside him are going to go. He just comes straight back. The only way he gets beat if he forces him early and he pulls too hard. Right? And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want him pulling. So if he comes back, gets him relaxed, it doesn't matter whether he's 6-8 lengths off them. He's got that much natural quickness in him that when he goes, he'll just pick him up in 2 hops. You saw what Ryan Moore did on that horse he won, and I brought it up here before. That was a miler. Joe won a 1,400 metre race the week before. He dropped him out 4 lengths last and saved him because he thought that was the only way he could win because he was a miler. And Joe rode him his next start. He rode him too close and he didn't perform well over 2,000 metres. But the start before when Ryan dropped him back, now I'm not saying do that by any means. There's no way you do that, drop him back 4 lengths last. But you have him about midfield where he's in a comfort zone.
Well, Hutch, I know one thing as a broadcaster. You don't like looking at yourself on television, do you? But I'm watching RS as he's looking at himself. He was very much in love with that little piece he did then.
Yeah. The best thing about that was they didn't play it on, and I said I wouldn't be scared to sit 3 wide on that track the whole race. So where was the winner? Last 3 wide down the back. Simple as that.
Righto, Shane. I know you want to show an example with Pengai Star when it comes to the Derby about energy and times and everything.
Now look at Ryan here. He's 3-4 lengths last. The horse is relaxed. This is about energy. It doesn't matter whether a horse is going, the pace is fast or slow. It's about saving energy. And that horse has so much energy because he's 3-4 lengths last, relaxed. And the same thing happened to Voyage Bubble. And people don't understand, computer teams or rating experts. And I'm a big person on sections and sectional times. But when it comes to energy and a horse is going a different distance for the first time, that goes out the window. The most important thing is energy for the horse. Now, you watch this horse, Pengai Star, in the Derby, once like Ryan sets him alight. This horse here is a 1,400 metre to mile horse, but because he got so much energy, he has to come up the straight. He ran a 21.9 this day, which is unheard of for a derby. It's probably one of the last fastest sectionals ever, and he just ran over top of them because he's got his energy, and it's just so big. And it's hard to explain when you put sectional times out there for the first half mile that they were going slow, and everyone will be saying with this horse, Beauty Eternal, he was up there and they went slow, so he had his chance. And I'm the first one to say, I understand that, but it's wrong. It's just wrong. He used his energy up early, that horse, even though people won't think he did. And we're going to go to the Derby now, and there's a genius and there's a slaughter in this. And if you watch this, you watch Zach here, watch him. He uses him here. He goes, boom, I'm going forward. As soon as he did that, I thought that horse won't win. You watch Alexis here. He's got him back in the field, going back, pulling him back. Now, Zach, in all fairness, gave him a perfect ride. He gave him a perfect ride, but not by my standards and not for what I would have done. I would never have done that. But look, I want to show you into the back with Voyage Bubble. You have a look how relaxed he is for a horse who runs a mile and only a mile. Jamie Carr said there's no way he'll run 2,000 metres. The other horse to watch is the horse behind Beauty Eternal, which is Swords Point. This was a slaughter. This probably should have won the race. Now, you watch Alexis, he's covered no ground. Now he comes up, and you watch how he's riding him. This horse is so relaxed. He's not pulling. He's just got, this is an outstanding ride, Alexis, full credit. And what did he do in this race? He gambled. He didn't ride to percentages like some other jockeys in the race. He gambled, and that's what won the race. Now, Huey here, he should have gone up and around when that horse was pulling before on Swords Point, and he wins the race for sure. He had a chance when he got into the back to go. I'm sure Huey went home that night thinking, I wish I had that ride over again. If he goes at the 1,400 up and around outside the leader or leads, he wins. Now, because he's wasted no energy, Voyage Bubble, he's up 4 wide, and it doesn't matter how wide you are. He's done nothing, and he's in a position now where he can win, and he's got all the energy in the world. The other horse, he failed. Beauty Eternal failed. He did not quicken because of the distance, and it brought him undone, the distance. If it's a mile, he wins, but it's going to 2,000 metres, and Zach used him early, and that takes a lot out of a horse. He wasn't relaxed. Now, into the back, I was actually happy, and out of the straight, I was not a happy man. I had a huge bet on Beauty Eternal, but I was not happy. I said, he won't win. But then into the back, and halfway up the back, I thought he's just going to win. He's got him relaxed, and haven't gone fast. But turning for home, I was worried as soon as I saw him. He didn't look like he normally did, and he just didn't quicken, even though he ran a 22.22, which is very fast. And I know the computer teams and Clint will have a different opinion and say he had every chance, and he did have every chance. Zach gave him a beautiful ride, but he gave him a ride which Zach does to percentages. He never gambled in the race, and I always felt if he was to win the Derby, he had to gamble, and he didn't gamble.
Yeah, I respect Shane's opinion, and he's got his case, and it's a game of opinions. We all like to see it differently.
But if he doesn't win the race, Hutch, in Australia, he would have been criticised, the winning jockey?
Look, I think there's a bit to get through to begin with, and I just want to run through some things. So, up to the 7th race of the day, after 7 races, what we have to also take into account is the pattern that Shane has mentioned. And when you're seeing a pattern, and this was a very significant pattern on the day, nothing more than about 2.8 lengths of the leader at the 600 was winning. 6 of the 7 were in the first 4 on the run, and 5 of those races were inside of standard. So there was a real pattern, as Shane said, it was up and it was in. So it's all right. It's all right to sort of, so I would have thought with that mindset, look, this track's playing, favouring those closer to the speed. You don't want to be giving away too much of a start. Now, I'll just continue on, but that in that mindset, for mine and looking at the sectionals, they have crawled in that race. And so Zach would have been running last in most other derbies where he was running 4th. That's how slow they were going. And for me, I know Shane says he used him, but just the way that I read it, I don't think he really has used it. I don't think he did expend much energy at all in that early stage. So They've sprinted home. They've gone very slow. Here's some of the other derbies. I mean, this just shows you how badly it's rated. Best race ever was Romantic Warrior. He's been, he's the benchmark in terms of they've rated about 8 or 9 lengths off, or 11 in total, off Romantic Warrior's performance. It's been a shocking derby in terms of the overall. They've run very, very slow time. Love the ride from Alexi. He did no work to get that position, as Shane said. It was a great ride because he's made his move down the back, but the favourite's been incredibly disappointing. And I think the only thing that you can take into account, you've got pace and pattern in your favour, which is what Zach had. He's presented him. He hasn't even needed really to stay to sort of win the race, and he still couldn't. So I just thought he was very disappointing, Shane.
Clint, he was very disappointing. He failed, and I said that. And Zach didn't do anything wrong by the normal person or really to me, I'm just saying I would never have ridden him like that. Okay, so when he comes out of the gates, to get a horse to relax, you just got to go boom, straight away over their neck and come back under you, and that horse will relax. He went boom, boom, gave him 2 pumps. As soon as he does that, that horse travels. In my mind, I'm saying I've got to run 2,000 metres, right? I've got to run 2,000 metres. By doing that, that takes that out of the equation. 2,000 metres is now your suspect. By coming out and going, boom, you're running. See, when I'm riding that horse in that race, and I know it's a leader's track, I know it's on pace, which I did, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about running 2,000 metres. How do I get that horse to run 2,000 metres? Not the best part of the track. That goes out of the equation. And look, he didn't do anything wrong. I know that. I'm not saying he did. But I would not have ever ridden that horse like that. Now, the other thing, Clint, is would he have won? That's very debatable. And I'm not saying he would have won if he was back. But I'll tell you something now. I would rather have been where Village Bubble was, relaxed, coming into the race. Tell me this, does Voyage Bubble run 2,000?
Well, yeah, I think, it depends how the race is run. If it's run like that, he will. And like yours, he's gone back, but he led up in a classic mile, Shane, and he got a nicely rated ride from Jamie Carr and managed to win very convincingly, beating this field. So let's put that up. Let's put that
100%, but he failed his next start over 1,800 when he had to go a bit quicker.
Well, that's why Sword Point with Hugh Bowman, what was he thinking? He's had a horse that he led on the start before. If we can just show the start again, this has been poor. I know you thought he should have gone forward down the side, Shane, and he should have, but even at the start, he needed to be a little bit more proactive. Now, maybe he missed it half a length, but Zach, for me, outfoxed him in the early stages. He's put himself in that spot. There's no speed in this race. You've got an on-pace track, inside suited, on a horse that went forward at his previous start and led and won at tempo, and he's 3 back, 1 off.
Okay,
so absolutely crawl.
I'm going to explain here. So I don't blame him for out of the gates and early, right? But if I'm on him, I'm thinking it's an on-pace track. My mind's totally the opposite to Beauty Eternal, right? Beauty Eternal, I've got to run 2,000 metres. Sword Point, I know this is going to run 2,000 metres. I'm on a fit horse who's been trained for the Derby. See where he's pulling here? I'm off there. Zach's had a look what's going on, right? And this is where I'm going. I'm gone. I'm gambling. And I'm saying, I don't care if I get beat. I'm going to gamble. Let's go. I'm not going to beat the favourite if it's a sprint home because I can't quicken like that. So let's turn it into a test. I'm up and around, and before those horses know it, I'm in front, right? And I'm leading. And I'm gambling. And that's what he should have done, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Alex, he's gone from last to that position that we mentioned with the track pattern. He's only a length and a half off them on the turn, but he's done no work to get there. Yes, he's been wide, but there's been no increase in the tempo, which is even more. And I can't blame Zach for not going because, he's getting the run of the race effectively with the way the race was run. So
now, Zach gave us a good ride. So I don't want people to say I'm bagging Zach over his ride because I'm not. But the other thing you got to remember, that horse was not trained for a Derby, and I do blame Zach for this, right? The start before, he drove him out of the gates in a mile, and he stayed 4-5 off because he didn't want to be snookered. A Shane Dye, Ryan Moore is 4th or 5th on the fence, snookered, and we're saying, right, we're going to teach him to come back under us, and that's for the Derby next start. And if he gets beat, he gets beat, right? Zach has been so successful in Hong Kong, and this is why he's done more than I could ever do, right? Because he's a different rider to a Ryan Moore, he's a different rider to a James McDonald. What he does is when he's on a short price favourite, He just says, I'm better than all yous. I'm not going to put it on the fence. I'm going to put him there and I'm going to be third outside everything and he's going to be too good. And that's what he does. And that's why he's been so successful. He's outstanding. But sometimes a horse like that doesn't want that. He wants to be taught how to win a derby. And that's where I actually blame Zach the last start before. Not that race, not the derby. Now, the other thing is he's never had a derby preparation from John Sayers because of the circumstances. And I'm sure John would have known that. And maybe John wouldn't have even run him in the derby. It's maybe the owner's decision to run him in the derby. But I thought he failed and he didn't do what I thought he could. I was wrong. And Zach put him in the right posse for him. And he just wasn't good enough, Clint. Simple as that. There's no other excuse.
I think he was given every chance. For me, the way I've assessed the race, he was disappointing. He's given every chance. And I thought, ultimately the one that was probably a bit disappointing tactics was Sword Point, but that was it.
Two things for me to take out of the whole conversation. Firstly, as an outsider looking in, there's no doubt he didn't drop his head outside the leader, and that's cost him at the end of his race, from what I can see as a punter. Mm. And the second thing is, I've never heard Shane ever say, I was wrong. Can we hear that again, Shane?
No, I thought he'd blitz him. I thought he'd be too good. I really didn't. I've always said that. I had a huge slipper day. I backed the winner of the slipper at 16s.
Hey, you own slipper day, RS. Of
I
course you're
couldn't
going to
believe
win.
his odds. I'd priced him $1.50. And actually, I spoke to a very good judge before the race, and I said, mate, am I wrong with this horse? I've got him $1.50. And he said, well, we've priced him, our agency, at two ways. If we don't know he stays, so he's priced at $2.20. But if you know that he stays, he's $1.20 chance, Shane. That's what he is in this race. He's $1.20 if you know he can stay, but we don't know whether he's going to run the 2,000, so we've got him $2.20.
From Derby Day in Hong Kong, we're going to go off to Meydan Racecourse. It's Dubai World Cup coming up this weekend. What a program of racing we've got coming up. Absolutely outstanding. We see, Shane, the mix of the great riders going to Meydan. And how do you find the course?
It's a big track. Clint's the man for form. I don't actually do Meydan form or overseas form. I concentrate on Hong Kong. And I'm sure Clint will produce all the winners on the night for everyone. Clint, fire away.
Under the bus you go.
Well, I know one thing. If you generally follow Japan, you do pretty well when they go to Dubai or some of the well-fancied locals, that's for sure. But look, it's a great night of racing. We've got the World Pool betting on it as well. And there's some representation from all over the world. Hong Kong are well represented. I think Russian Emperor and obviously Senor Toba over there. But I think they got a chance in the Alcor Sprint as well with Sight Success Hong Kong. So, I think he's the kind of horse who's good enough to be very, very competitive with the right run. But one thing we've got to know when we go to that sprint race over there, the high draws or high numbered draws are really favoured. There's a sort of strip. It's a bit like Hong Kong.
The outside fence?
The outside fence.
Yeah.
The stand side fence is generally a much, much better spot to be.
Okay, and you can also do the betting there with Super Tab and the Victorian TAB, the Whirlpool, and what a great thing that is, Advent that has been for punters, Hutch, hasn't it?
Yep. They cover a lot of meetings through the year, and if you want to get involved, make sure you do. It'll be a great night. It's always a huge turnover night, and it's good to see. I just love seeing the meetings where we get all the good riders from around the world. I mean, we've got Damien Lane going over, right? Obviously, Ryan's been there from earlier in the week. Amongst many, many other top-class riders from around the world.
Well, he's riding the Astrologist. We know what a great race he ran in the Newmarket. He's drawn back towards the inside as well, which is probably not ideal.
Yeah, I've got in touch with Damien, and this is sort of what he had to say about a few of them. And he said he was the draw's not great for him, he said, but as you know, sort of drawn a little bit higher would be better. But he thinks if he can run up to his Newmarket run, he's only beaten a couple of lengths. And I think that's the kind of horse that could potentially win this race. Australia's got the best sprinters in the world. And he's probably just that cog below that sort of top Group 1 level, isn't he? But in this instance, I've seen horses with his sort of profile run very well. I think Damien's very, very bullish about, or really looking forward, I should say, to the ride on Seraphos. I think a galloper that gave him a fantastic feel when winning in Japan. And, he's in the Dubai Turf, and I think that's the one he's most looking forward to. So that is fantastic. And, of course, he rides Win Marilyn, I should say. Shane, she's got a bit of a task out of her against some of the best in the world. I think Equinox might be in that race. So Equinox looks like it's travelled well, but once again, Japan. So it's there's some nice horses there to take a look at on Dubai World Cup night.
He's very good, Equinox. He'll be favourite for sure, I'd say, and be very hard to beat in that race from what I've seen of him.
We've got Champions Day in Hong Kong coming up in April. A lot of Australian representation, we're hoping. A lot of the horses are going around on the weekend, which will tell their path going to possibly Hong Kong. I know Giga Kick, I'm pretty sure Clayton Douglas said maybe if we travel, we'll do it next season with him, not this season. He's just not quite mature enough to do it just yet.
I think there's a look with Lofty Strike. He's got his foot on the till. He's a Group 1 horse. He's going to be one of the stars in the sprinting ranks. I don't think there's much between him and Giga Kick, and he's just got too far out of his ground these last couple. But I think there's certainly better than a 50-50 chance that Lofty Strike will go. And I think if he does, that'll set up very nicely. Talking to Julius Sanders, we've mentioned on a previous show. But this is some of the other Australian entries. I think, Shane, from what I can see, as we'll list all the names, I won't run through them all, but Annabelle Neesham taking over Law of Indices, obviously last for the international races back in December, and that horse running third, not beating a big margin behind 60 and Golden 60 and California Spangles, probably inspired a few more of them to say, hang on, in Australia, we might be able to go up to Hong Kong and be a little bit more competitive than we may have thought in the past.
Yeah, he went really well in that race, but, you can get that. I don't know if any of those can beat Golden 60 and Romantic Warrior if they run in the 2000.
No, it'll be interesting to see, but I'd just love to see some representation there. I think Aegon is a good chance of going over for the mile race too, so for Andrew Forsman. So he's more of a wet tracker, but he's that sort of couple of lengths below as well.
Just for my personal value, Shane, whereabouts do you rate Animo at the moment on the world stage?
Oh, he's outstanding. He's a winner. We had this discussion last week or 2 weeks ago. But in saying that, Terry, I don't think he would ever beat Golden 60. Golden 60 would just sit behind him and finish over top of them. But how can you knock him? He wins so many Group 1 races. And he just tries. His win the other day was outstanding. He was never going to win and just kept coming. He's a little bit like Octagonal. You know how Octagonal was never impressive, but you always knew when you were riding him you were going to get there. He's like that. And I'm not knocking him at all. But in saying that, I think Golden 60 would beat him every time they go round.
John, I was going to ask you that. Did you ride many in your career that sort of just did enough? I mean, he's the type of horse that just seems he'll just do enough.
All horses were different. Octagonal, you had to really get up him to win, use the stick and really push. Now, I used to ride a horse called Shogun Lodge, who you remembered. He ran in a Hong Kong Cup. He had about 15 or 16 Group 1 seconds. He was outstanding, but he had a sprint on him of about 150 metres, right? I beat Sunline in the George Main Stakes. I won a couple of Group 1s on him. I ran second in 2 derbies on him. But if he could have maintained his sprint for about another 80 metres when he went, he would have won 20 Group 1 races. But he just had that 150 metres and he went boom, and then you knew it was going to come to an end, and it always come to an end. And that's why he had so many Group 1 seconds. So get back to your question. Every great horse is different and you get to know them and what they're like. Octagonal just wanted to get head-to-head with a horse and into a fight. Tie the Knot, another Group 1 horse I rode, 13 Group 1s I won, or he had 13 Group 1s. I think I won 10 on him. He had a run of about 250 metres, but it could die, but you didn't have to use the stick on him much. He always tried hard. Every horse is different.
Yeah, interesting. Really interesting.
It is. And I wonder how Octagonal would go with the whip rules nowadays, because he loved the more you hit him, the more he gave.
Good. He wouldn't be winning any of these races. No. Not a hope in the world he would. No way he would. That's always a case I make for the whip. Well, you wouldn't have got Octagonal out of racing unless it was for the whip. And that's a fact.
Yeah, you say that Animo just gets the job done. I look at the horses he's beating. They're basically Group 3 horses.
Yeah, but he keeps winning, Terry. He just keeps winning.
I'm not knocking him. I'm just making the point, that's all.
Yeah. Okay, so who wins, Animo or Golden 60?
I'm following you, champion.
Thanks, mate. No, Golden 60.
No need to even ask.
Him, mate. But then again, you're talking to a bloke who tipped Beauty Eternal as a good thing in the Derby who got beat.
Yeah, but you said you made a mistake. It's the only time I've ever heard you in your whole career say it. So you've only made one mistake in your life. I'm buying in.
I made one in 1978. I said it was going to rain and it didn't rain.
You're just too good. Let's go to the weekend's racing at Chart 10 on Sunday. We're going to start with races 7, 8, 9 and 10 we're looking at for Sunday. How are these races shaping up from a punting point of view, Hutch?
I think it's going to be a tough day, to be honest with you. I think it's very competitive. I've done half the card so far, but looking at race 7, this is my market for the 7th event. A horse that's really going to improve is Beauty Inspire, and I'll run through the reasons why I think this horse will improve a lot back in trip. We'll get to that in a moment. But Excellent Fighter is a horse that I've got marked favourite at $3. He goes up in class following a win at his last outing. We're going to take a look at that performance as well from him. It's a nice race for him here. I mean, there is a bit of speed in the race with Classic Unicorn, Shane, but I think Silvestre de Souza can probably pop in just behind that horse, let him go. And this horse is an improving horse. He's won 2 or 4. He does probably need to step up again, but I think with a drop in weight, he effectively drops 5 kilos on this win. With the rise in grade, I think he can probably go on with the job.
Yeah, it's not a strong race, this. There's not many chances. Beauty Inspire, you're correct, very interesting, coming back from a mile, which he failed at twice, and he hasn't had a trial, so that's interesting. John likes to trial them over a 3 or 4 week period, and he hasn't done it. The horse in there that goes all right is California Emperor. Also, Clinton's trials haven't been too bad. He's a new horse, and he's from, I think, Ireland. He's got gate 3. There's good pace. You're correct. 100% Classic Unicorn leads. California Emperor will definitely be forward, and so will Excellent Fighter, but there's not many chances. I think the 3 in the race are Excellent Fighter, Beauty Inspire, California Emperor, and Mark the Moment from gate 2 isn't the worst.
This is a classic one with Beauty Inspire, so he caught everyone's eye for John's size. Of course, at his first start, was beaten less than a length. When J-Mac rode him over 1,400, he was outpaced that day. Terry's an Irish import, and he got home really well. I thought he'd be winning. He went to the mile, over-raced for Luke Curry, who ended up in front, didn't want to. Then they put Hugh Bowman on, and once again, he was very keen. So I would say John Sizers looked at that, thought, look, let's drop him back to 1,200. They'll run along. There'll be good speed in this race. Zackle from gate 12 will probably go back to nearly last. If he can run on the day, he's the one I'm most worried about with Excellent Fighter. He'll go to another level. He won't over race. He'll be ridden quiet, and I could see him absolutely powering home with that drop back and trip. He might not just get the 1,400 or 1,600 either. Maybe he's just a sprinter, but he's a very interesting runner.
Race number 8's the Class 3. It's a 1,000-metre dash. Anything stand out here, Hutch?
Very competitive race once again. I mean, it's highlighted by an incredible performance from a horse that was quite impressive and ran time the other day, Shane. Cheval Valiant ran 55.8, and on the same day, of course, we had another horse, Run Cool Run. What did he run? 56.7. So, look, a lot of these have actually lined up against each other on different occasions, but Cheval Valiant, what I liked about the last win from him is Angus Chong, he basically was handlebars down. So instead of trying to rate him, he's always a horse that leads, but they let him sort of go at his own tempo, and he went very hard, and he tired late, but he brought a lot of them out of their comfort zone in the process.
Well, the thing with him is he's been carrying the 130s and 125 last start, and he's running time. He's got 114 pounds here. You know, like he's just going to jump and run, and I don't know whether they'll pick him up, even though it's a lot stronger race. Like if he runs to last start with 114 pounds, Clint, you'd think he'd be winning, wouldn't you?
If he runs to that, and you think he's going to at least run to that, like you said, with a drop in weight, he drops another 5 kilos.
Yeah, 114 pounds he carries.
Yeah, he's got no weight on his back. If he lets him roll along, I mean, and I think if he runs that mark, he'll just win the race. But there's an interesting horse in the race called Seasons Wit, who was well supported on debut. That's with Jamie Richards. He was a horse that raced in Victoria called Eros, and he started very short. Terry, I don't think you remember, as a two-year-old. And he showed a little bit.
Speedy.
I think he might have been, he was speedy. He was a bit questionable about what sort of tenacity he had in the finish, and he ran second first up. But look, I think there's a bit of a future for him. But it's a race where I think that Cheval Valiant, it'll just have to see what price he comes up and log into the site, and we'll see what price we'll have him marked. But he looks the one to beat, and you can understand why with that weight drop.
The thing in that race is there's a lot of horses going well if you go through the field. Pleasant Endeavour, gate 13 is going to be in behind. He's flying. Nakoni Country's going well. Run Cool's going well. Seasons Wit, as you said. Flying High's up in class but going well. There's a horse there down the bottom, and I don't know whether you've picked up on it or not, called Talent Supremo.
Talent Supremo, yeah. Unlucky, very unlucky.
He was unlucky the other day. He's got 116 pounds, And if they burn along here too fast early, he will keep coming. He won't stop. And he'll get a run, you'd think, from gate 4 being on the inside. And he's the roughie in the race that could improve that horse, Clint.
He is. I agree with you. I have priced this race. We haven't shown it on the thing. I had Cheval Valiant a favourite, but I had him a much longer price favourite than I think he might be. And that's why I think it could be a race we'll play him depending on where the market's at. The other one you mentioned, Shane, Flying High, he hasn't done much wrong. He also drops a lot in weight. He goes from 133 pounds back to 118. So he drops 7 kilos on his run. And he is a model of consistency drawn on the right spot. So it's an interesting race.
But they've worked him out now, Clint. That's why he's racing well. They used to let him run a bit and be forward. He's going better since they're tucking him in behind. And if you can hold that horse up until about 150, 200, he goes ping and he quickens. And you're correct. With no weight on his back, he's going to do that in this race, especially from gate 10, where he can be in behind with no weight and not working and saving energy.
It's funny that Shane brought up earlier as well about a couple of different horses in terms of how they're ridden. I think, to my eye, Flying High looks like one of those horses that is better ridden that way, but he also has about a 100-metre sprint. He seems to go very quick, and then he levels out a little bit. And I think if he gets that kind of run with a lot of weight, he could go well.
Yeah, seems to be a big key in that race with horses that are in form, fit, and that big weight drop, 7 kilos, is massive. Race number 9's a Class 3 over 1,800 metres. Zach, can he ride a winner here?
I think he will. I think he's got a great chance on Happy Together, who he's been in good form. I thought there was a clear excuse for him last start. Of course, Alexis Badel's been on for his last 3 rides, and I thought at his most recent outing, they put a little bit too much. He worked too hard early, effectively. Ultimately, the first 3 passed the post in this race, and Straight Aaron was one of them, but Nicholson, they all settled back. You can see those early sections at the top right of your screen, 14, 21, 8. That's too hard. Happy Together worked after that to roll forward. I thought he did a really good job to battle on and hold on to 4th. Zach will just pop him out, box seat him in this race, and I think back to the mile, Shane, he looks the one to beat to me.
I think that's the biggest thing. The 1,800 back to a mile, like he did win over a mile. I still think Ching's going to be very hard to beat from gate 4. He's got points still. He's going a bit higher. It's not a bad race. There's a few chances. The best Peach went better last time. I think the interesting runner is Simba Clint with the big weight, and Newey. His last run was very good, I felt. He kept coming in that race, even though he got beat 5 lengths. He was on the heels at the 400 metres, and it just took a bit out of him. He got on heels, and then he just kept coming late. He's not the worst. But yeah, Happy Together's got a very good chance. Ching's got a very good chance. And of course, I would put the toppy in there. Simba, they're the 3 for me in that race.
Yeah, I think Simba's right in there. I'm not sure he gets much further. I think 1,1600 metres for him. And I like Hugh Bowman. I like the booking, but it's a tricky barrier. The real interesting runner in the whole race you mentioned, Shane, is the Best Peach. He didn't do much those first few starts, and he really improved last time out behind Ching. He sat a long way back. They didn't go quick in that race, and he wasn't best placed, I think, the way the race was run. The only concern I have is he going to be a bit like June Planet? Is he one of those horses who doesn't have much early speed? I'm hoping he can sort of land about midfield. I think if he can land midfield in this race, the Best Peach can win. But I'm just a little bit cautious with him with his lack of tactical speed so far.
They should go along in the race, Clint, with Massive Action from gate 10. He'll come across with Super Babe. He'll be forward, but Massive Action will probably lead. So he doesn't normally go too slow unless Derek pulls up.
No,
he normally lets him stride a bit. So the pace should be all right in that race.
He doesn't. But last start he was in that race won by Ching, and he did go too slow. Ironically, he's better off letting him go a bit quicker too. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the last race on the program is always the most important race for punters. We either build a bank or we're chasing real hard.
Well, hopefully we've already got a bit of cash in the bank by this stage, TB. So, look, it's another very competitive race, to close out the card. I didn't think there were any massive standouts. I think the key runners, a solid impact. Universal Horizon's going to be a big chance. I like this horse. He's actually, what happens in Hong Kong, Terry, I know that you're not across the way that handicapping works there, but you can't sort of run out of your grade, and you can effectively go out of your grade without winning. And that's what he's done following a series of placings. So he's actually up in class, but it might be a little bit of a blessing. It was a little bit of a leaderish track this day. He settled reasonably close to the speed. He kept on to the line, but this race rated pretty well on my stuff, and he kept on well to the line, and now he drops a lot in weight, and I think he gets a good run. Shane, is he a little bit of a gunner, Universal Horizon, do you think, or is this his opportunity to go one better?
I'm just looking at it here. This is an open race, Clint. There's pace in it. They're going to go. You got Circuit Mighty who's coming back, but he'll go forward. Master Hero goes forward, of course. Interesting race. Like Dromberg Banner's coming back from 2000. I think a horse who doesn't race at Sharton will run well there. He's been doing all of his racing at Happy Valley. Jumbo Legend. I think 1400 would be his best distance. He's been running 1650, of course. He's been mixing his distances at Happy Valley. And from gate 3, he's going to get a good run midfield. We might even race a bit closer. I think he gets his chance.
The other one from the Valley, Shane and Solid Impact, I thought his form was it was similar, probably maybe even a fraction better, but I thought he could run a good race here to 1400 for Hugh Bowman and David Hall.
Well, he goes to the 1400, doesn't he? I don't think he's run over. He ran over it last year once, I think, didn't he? And Romantic Warrior, if I remember correctly, won the race. I could be wrong. And he was a bit weak late. He wasn't too bad. His sectionals that day were all right, if I remember correctly. But, I don't know about that race, Clint. I tell you, these races here are really hard on Sunday. But I'm not knocking Universal Horizon. I think his run the other day was good with the big weight. And now 120 pounds, gate 5, he'll get a good run. He definitely gets his chance. Nothing stands out in that race, Clint. Nothing.
No, I agree. And I think that's pretty much the tail of the tape, Terry.
Okay, let's go on until we can find some best bets, maybe a bit of value. Hutch, you can lead out here.
I will lead out. I think one of the better bets on the card. I think Excellent Fighter will be certainly one of the better plays. I like him up in class. I like the weight drop for him. So that's race 7, and that is number 10. And I think I'm going to probably also have something, on the Quinella or the exotics with Beauty and Inspire. I'm a little bit concerned about what he could do, and also the debutant in the same race in the Quinella, Colourful Emperor. I echo the sentiments of Shane in terms of that horse. He trialled pretty well, and he's only had a couple of starts from Ireland. I think the 8th race is pretty open. I'm not going to sort of stick my neck out in that race. I think a good value chance on the day. Race 9, number 3, the Best Peach has got to be considered a decent chance, notwithstanding that, in the race, it looks pretty open. I think Happy Together is the one to beat, but I'm hoping that race 9, number 3, the Best Peach, is a value play. And I think in the last race, well, it's probably more of a Quinella race. I think you have to take Universal Horizon. I think he's one. Solid Impact is one. That's numbers 3, 12. Those are 2 that you've definitely got to include. And I'll also put in the horse that Shane like their Jumbo Legend. He was a tricky one for me, but I do think 1400 will suit. So that's the way I've seen it, TB.
What's your moves on the dance floor for Sunday, Shane?
I've just got some sheets here, and I'll tell you what, there's not too many. The dance floor's looking pretty bare. I'll tell you what, I don't like this, boys, but let's go. I haven't finished, of course, and I haven't done them all. Just looking at this, Clint, you can help me here. Race 2 looks shocking, doesn't it? It's a Class 5. There's nothing in it. On my sheet, there's just nothing. It's a really bad race. I'm going to put in Dragon Pride. He's got 135 pounds. He's got gate 14, but he's got Zach on. He'll know what to do on him. And he's racing well, and he's in his right class. He never goes bad when he's in Class 5. He ran second last start, but I'm just trying to work out the pace quickly. There's nothing in there going much good, Clint, when you have a look at that race.
I mean, I'm just quickly looking at how the horses have rated on my stuff. And, the 2 horses that stand out, Shane, are Dragon Pride and Over the Moon, interestingly. So
trial terrible the other day, Over the Moon, over the mile. If I hadn't looked at his trial, he's on top probably. But his trial at Sharton was just average. But, mate, on his form previously, yes, he can win. He'll be in my numbers, of course, but I've got to go back and look at that trial again. I haven't put enough work into that race, but I'll go Dragon Pride.
Okay, well, I've never asked a professional or a best bets and said, what's your best bet? And the other person says, well, it's a terrible race, shocking race. They're all out of form. They're all no good, but I'll make this my best bet. And it's got barrier 14, and it's got the top weight.
Top weight.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard that before, Shane. You lack confidence, but you're still tipped.
Well, you wanted one. I've got to give you one, don't I? Actually, it's a hard meeting, this, from what I've looked at so far. It's not easy, this meeting, Clint. But like most meetings on a Sunday at Sharton, there'll be 10 winners. It's just a matter of finding them.
Great racing in Australia coming up this weekend. You can watch it all on 7plus.com.au. Hutchie's Honkers on .com.
Yeah. We've got the Dubai at the World Cup meeting as well, of course, which just make sure you get involved there, but subscribe, and hopefully we'll have a good weekend, Tabby. Thanks for filling in once again.
Mate, thanks for having me on the show, Shane. I always learn something. Off you. Thank you very much.
I don't think people understand about energy, though, with horses. And it's a hard one to teach because I know about sectional times. There's no one that knows like I do, and I've been studying them for a long time. But when you're saving energy with a horse, sectional times go out of it. It doesn't come into it. It's about energy. And I hope I could teach you a little bit, Terry. And I'll be coming on your show soon.
Yes, mate, I'm going to have you on my show. It's only a 4 segment, maybe a 5 segment for you because I'm going to have to give you a little bit more time, okay?
Has
and you
Clint
can
been
be
on
provocative.
There,
Yeah, Hutch has been on. He's come on before, haven't you, Hutch?
How many segments did he get?
Oh, I think we only gave him 3 or 4.
He gave me nothing. He gave me nothing, Shane.
You know,
Hey,
we
Clint,
want the
more importantly, did you get paid for it? Because Terry,
Nothing.
I just want to know here, aren't we paying you to come on here to do this?
yeah. Good
Shane,
point.
on that point, mate, we better go now. Great talking with you always. See you next week. Bye for now.